Okay, on to the next one.
All right, amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Bjorn, and thank you to everybody else for being here. It's awesome to get plugged into community. Like Bjorn had been saying in the beginning, there's a lot of us that find ourselves as coaches in very isolated environments, and so just to have the opportunity to connect with everybody here is really special and not something that I take for granted. So I want to make sure that I make the most of this time today. Hopefully, add some value to everybody that's here. So I am actually, full disclosure, actually still going through the certification process as I had mentioned in the beginning. I'm taking my time with this, and that is intentional because at least when it comes to my personal standards, the expectations that I set for myself is that when I integrate a solution, when I provide an offer for my clients, I want to know. I want to know without a shadow of a doubt that this is actually going to work. Not that just it looks really cool, that it sounds really great, or even that when we do the scan, that it's very insightful. I want to know that the actual application of this service is actually going to create transformation. And so I've worked with, well, in general, I work with a lot of clients that have multiple sclerosis. And one of the biggest things that MS does a really great job at doing is it steals, it takes away, it steals identity, it takes away capabilities, and it shatters your world and your expectations of what the future can look like. And so all of a sudden you find yourself trying to question, well, what is my purpose? What is my value? What can I still do with my life? And so I've been working with this client for a couple of months, and we got to a place, and it just so happened to coincide exactly with when I started getting certified with brain health analytics. But we got to a place in her coaching journey where she just felt very trapped and isolated and kind of overwhelmed with what was going on in her mind. And I said, well, I have something that we could try if you'd like to be a guinea pig of sorts and see, let's just walk through this process and see what happens. And so that's what we did. And I'm gonna try to actually share my screen, Bjorn. I'm gonna see if this actually works. Bum, 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 bum. Um, all right. Let me know if you guys can see this. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can actually open this myself. Okay. We're going to go to the slide. This is going to be rather brief. I just have a couple of slides here. Move this out of the way. Okay. Presenter view. All right. So are you guys able to still see the first slide here, the one that says a measurable journey of transformation? Let me see if I can
I
adjust.
can see it, but it's
It's a bit grayish,
a bit
vague,
grayish, yeah.
foggy.
Like there's like a cloth
Interesting.
over it or something. I don't know if that's the
I'm going
coloration.
to go to play from start. Continue to share. Is that better?
Yes, yes, now it popped up.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. There we go. So I actually I took my client through 7 sessions. She has agreed to be allowed to, like, willing to share this information. I took her through 7 to 8 coaching sessions where we actually adopted the brain health analytics framework. And so this is you guys love data. We all love data. That's what brain health analytics is all about, is actually like showing the data. So I'm going to show you guys some data. Actually, we have some receipts now to show the efficacy of the actual application of this software. So ended up doing 3 scans across 91 days. You guys will see that by the end of the journey, she only had 6 elevated patterns remaining, which is, once you guys see where we started, you'll be like, wow. And then an overall 28% increase in happiness. So I'm going to go through here and kind of give you a breakdown, like scan by scan, essentially like looking at what happened. So when we first started, kind of giving you the highlights, she had around 11 elevated patterns, subconscious thought patterns that we started out with. And you see the top one here, punitiveness of others. This came to a big shock, a big surprise to herself. Like, she always thought that she was a very gentle, kind, and like the most empathetic person you could imagine. But what she didn't realize that was going on subconsciously in the background is that she was festering a lot of frustration, a lot of anger inside towards others, that people couldn't understand what she was going through, because her illness is largely invisible, but she struggles mightily from day to day. And so she was festering this internal rage that was subconsciously directed outwards, and was really a matter of self-protection. That if she could portray that anger outwards, then she could kind of absolve herself of the pain that she was feeling inwardly. And so as we began to work together after a reflection of this first scan, we started to give her the skills and the strategies by, we looked at the identification of challenging, of reframing, and then setting the self-care practices, setting the boundaries, and then seeking balance. We essentially went through and gave her the practices and the challenges to start expressing towards others, this is what is going on, to actually communicate, hey, these are my problems, these are my struggles, and just providing that awareness so that she can start to take the anger away and start to recognize that, hey, people actually, once they know what's going on, they actually do want to, and they actually can support me. So about a month or so later, we ended up doing the second scan. And so what was really interesting here is incredibly punitive to others completely disappeared. Completely disappeared. It went from a full interference from 1.0 to complete zero. But what was interesting is that as that punitiveness others subconscious thought pattern went down, we saw the appearance of another one that started to go up, emotional deprivation. And so at first, my client was really disappointed. She felt like she had quote unquote like failed the tests because she wanted to as a high performer, she wanted to see everything go down. But what we started to recognize is that as the punitive towards others started to fall down, she became more vulnerable on the inside and started to feel subconsciously that her emotional needs would not be able to be met. That even though there were others that were now willing to support her, it was her own internal world that she had to focus on. So we recognized that it wasn't really a setback, but it became an opportunity for her to start engaging with her own emotions and to start not just expressing what she was going through, but to start expressing what emotional conflicts or what emotional needs that she had with those around her. And so, with the combination of expressing what she was going through and taking the anger and the rage away from others, the combination of that with a healthy regulation of her emotions, allowing herself to feel those emotions and actually start to build trust towards others that those could be met. This is what I'm most excited about. We get to scan number 3. And so check this out. Scan number 3, she only had 6 subconscious patterns remaining, and none of them were above a point 0.2. None of them. And so all of the work that we had done, not only did we have like a tangible, like physical receipt, but just talking to her, you could tell it was obvious. You can tell it's obvious. Like I'm still continuing to work with her today. We're like re-engaged in my own framework that we've built. But it's just amazing to now see her confidence, the way that she can express her needs, the way that she can express her emotions. And this just happened in the course of like, we're talking 90 days, in 3 months. This visible, tangible, measurable transformation that she experienced. So overall, looking at like the total transformation, it's it really going back to like the efficacy and wanting to see like, can this actually create change? It begins with, for at least for her, begin with protection first, recognizing that her subconscious thought patterns weren't necessarily there as something to destroy her. It wasn't something that was necessarily something bad about her character or bad about the way her mind was working. These subconscious thought patterns were trying to create a shield of protection. But once she was aware as to their presence and why they were there and how she could start to mitigate them, that's when the transformation began to occur. That's when she began to actually make shifts in her mentality and make shifts in a way that actually created change in her life. And so looking at like this is really cool, the factors of burnout dashboard, also creating significant change here. So as we went through from scan 1 to scan 3, her occupational exhaustion went down. She's a manager of a pretty big company, and so she has a lot of people that she's in charge of. And that was a huge source of stress for her because that's where a lot of that punitive towards others was coming. Is she had all this responsibility, nobody can understand her needs, and so she had all this exhaustion as a result of that. But as we worked together, that exhaustion started to go down. The depersonalization, loss of empathy, still something we're working on, but we know that the lower the score, the better. So there's regulation there. Personal accomplishment, the same story there, but we know that that can continue to increase the more that she becomes integrated with that emotional regulation. But the thing that we were most excited about, right, is the happiness score. The happiness score combined with the occupational exhaustion, as the exhaustion went down, happiness is going up. She's more in tune with her emotions, more in tune with expressing her needs, less angry at the world around her. And so that caused her happiness to increase as well. And so, really, just the highlights here. Punitiveness of others went from 1 to 0. Emotional deprivation, what was interesting is it started at point 0.4, spiked up to point 0.8 after punitiveness of others went down. And I think this is something that I've recognized as I've worked with multiple clients now, is that it's, I think, normal to see that as one subconscious thought pattern goes down, we can anticipate that others might go up in response as a reaction to. It's like the subconscious mind is trying to overcompensate for something that it used to be able to depend on. It draws up another subconscious thought pattern. And so, but that eventually went back down to 0.20. Self-sacrifice, we started at 0.67, all the way down to 0.14. And overall, she started out with about 11 active subconscious thought patterns. By scan 3, she only had 6 remaining, and none of them were above a 0.2. So overall, we went from 11 to 6, a 75 to 100% reduction in a lot of the core patterns, a 28% increase in happiness, and most of all, like the transformation that she experienced was the most profound insight, and something that now that I'm working towards certification, hope to have that complete. Once I have that, now I have not just, I'm not giving clients a tangible receipt of like, this is what's going on, but now I have a tangible receipt of like, this is the transformation you can expect. And that's where the true power lies. So in closing then, whoops, the awareness shows the pattern, the action, right? The action creates the transformation. So it's one thing to provide awareness and identification to our clients about like, this is what's going on in your mind, but actually taking them through the BHA framework of identification, of then challenge and reframing, of then creating the self-care practices, establishing the boundaries, and then seeking that balance, actually walking them through those steps in a way that's practical, in a way where they can actually start to mitigate the interference of these patterns. That's what creates the transformation. So really appreciate you guys sharing. I do have an infographic that I'm going to share in the WhatsApp group that you guys feel free to use. Feel free to share. I want it to be a resource that everybody can have and everybody can use. So thank you so much.